Hi guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me 2, the Demon War Part 3 of the alternate routes. Trying to get Damien's bad end. So we're heading off to the castle now, and let's just get this over with. The castle halls were grim and dark, sending shivers through me as Damien and I ran through them towards the sound of battle. All across the grounds were bodies of slaughtered imps and soldiers, most likely dead by Diana's hand. As we finally arrived into the throne room, Damien held out his arm to stop me and protect me from the battle waging within. Diana and the Demon Lord were in some sort of energy deadlock, with a bolt of red energy streaming out of the Demon Lord's hand and colliding with the purple flame that came from Diana's. The two energies pressed against one another, unrelenting in their violent crash, as each stream of energy tried to obtain dominance over the other. The Demon Lord and Diana were equally matched.
Give up, succubus! This world will bow to me!
Over my dead body!
That can be arranged!
A burst of red energy pulsed around the Demon Lord's body, intensifying as if a bolt of lightning in the deadlock and forcing Diana to step back from the sheer force of it. Despite this, Diana pressed back, regaining her momentum and her ground. Damien and I remained still and quiet, watching the bout. Damien was meant to be backup in case something happened to Diana, and thankfully she didn't necessarily need help for now, or at least it didn't look like it. Maybe Damien wouldn't have to step in after all. Diana shut her eyes and seemed to focus her energy, large and black purple flames slowly crawling around her body in a threatening aura as the power behind her energy stream increased and began to push back hard against the Demon Lord. As Diana opened her eyes, I gasped as they revealed themselves to be completely covered in gold. For a moment, the Demon Lord seemed to struggle maintaining his place, stepping back to try and remain upright at the harsh push that Diana was throwing his way. However, as he turned his body, the Demon Lord spotted me and Damien at the entrance of the hall, and a smirk grew on his face.
Ah, uninvited guests!
Diana suddenly turned her head our way, surprised at the acknowledgement, which caused her momentum to falter a bit. Taking the chance, the Demon Lord released another pulse of energy at Diana, forcing her back to bend back a bit and stumble on her feet. Like, why would you... Like, I don't get this part. Like, if she knew we were gonna be there, why would she look? She knew it was us. Well, most likely it was us. But whatever. Diana's eyes returned to normal as she raised her other hand to assist in the stream of energy from the end of the deadlock, attempting to push forward again and regain her place. The Demon Lord, however, laughed.
It's useless!
With a final push, the Demon Lord let out an angry snarl and forced his energy forward, causing Diana to slam back against the far pillar and lose concentration in her attack. Smirking evilly, the Demon Lord took his chance and shot a bolt of red lightning at Diana, electrocuting her.
Ah!
Diana! Damien growled and stepped forward, but through her torture, Diana turned her head and glared hard at Damien, making him freeze in place.
Not your turn!
Or is it? Despite being covered in red-tinted bolts of lightning, Diana began to focus her energy again and formed a deep purple aura around herself, letting the Demon Lord's attack bounce around her new barrier. With a breath, Diana let her energy pulse out, dissolving the Demon Lord's attack with a shot of burst of purple flames in retaliation. Her flames slammed themselves into the Demon Lord's chest, putting him back towards the pillar opposite of hers. I could see the light in Diana's eyes flicker from blood red to gold as she locked eyes with the Demon Lord. Something began to burn beneath her murderous gaze, as her simple stare was powerful enough to burn through the most courageous of hearts. However, the smirk plastered in the Demon Lord's face made my body shiver at the sight. He was nowhere near phased from Diana's glare. In fact, he seemed to find it amusing from the look in his eyes.
So, the Rebel Queen is protecting the mistake. How pathetic.
The only mistake that lives in this world is you.
The echo of the Demon Lord's laughter bounced through the hall with an unforgiving reverb, invading my ears and pounding against my mind. I could feel his dark energy pass through my voice and shake my soul. This wasn't a nightmare or a vision. The Demon Lord was right in front of me, and his presence was terrifying. Diana and the Demon Lord began to circle one another, with Diana moving to stand in front of us, while the Demon Lord positioned himself in front of his throne at the foot of the dais. However, I could feel the anxiousness in Damien's arms as I held it to me. keeping him in place. He wanted to fight the Demon Lord, but Diana wasn't letting him, and it was bothering him to no end.
Let me help.
I don't need help.
With that answer, Diana sprinted forward, summoning her wings and shooting herself like a bullet towards the Demon Lord. As she passed the midpoint of the room, Diana formed her saber in his hands and swung it at the Demon Lord. To her disgust, the Demon Lord parried with ease with his own sword, knocking her saber back and swinging to get a slice of her. The battle became a quick slam of dodges and parries from the Demon Lord and Diana, the sound of steel clanging violently in the air. It became a challenge, still keeping Damien near me. I could feel the anger and need to fight for battle in his tense muscles, ushering me to squeeze it and pull him toward me cautiously. He obeyed, but who knew how long he would. What caused me to look away from Damien was the sound of Diana crying out in pain. I watched as Diana's body flew across the room and slammed itself into the nearby wall. Part of the balcony above it collapsed, crumbling on top of her. I could almost hear her bones breaking from the rocks that had fallen on her. Diana, no! I could see Diana digging her way through the rubble, her hand clawing out an opening in desperation to pull herself out. But Damien took the chance to march towards the Demon Lord, ready to take up the fight. Seeing his new opponent, the Demon Lord chuckled darkly and brandished his sword, pointing it at Damien in a taunt.
So, you've come to try and stop me? You're as foolish as I remember!
You know nothing about me.
I may not, but I remember all about your mother.
That spark, the flare in Damien's rage. Black energy erupted from Damien's body as a sword formed in his hands and a snarl erupted from his gritted teeth. However, before Damien could step forward, a flash of purple zipped across the room and slammed into the Demon Lord's body, shoving him into a pillar and successfully destroying it with his body.
I'm not done with you yet!
The room began to slowly shape into the reflection of my nightmare, with rubble and stone littering the ground. Diana floated in the air on her wings, but I could still tell that her leg and at least a rib was broken, making her curl over herself from the pain. Diana kept glaring at the Demon Lord, however, gritting her teeth through the pain, forming her saber once again in her hand. As only a couple fingers and her thumb managed to wrap around the handle, I could tell that her hand was also injured.
You'll have to kill me first before I let you get away.
To see Diana continue to fight was remarkable, but I knew very well that she wasn't going to last long. One more avalanche of rubble on her would end her. The Demon Lord rose from the pile of stone that had fallen him, grinning despite the blood rushing down his forehead.
Then let me finish the job!
With a cackle, the Demon Lord let his red energy pulse around him, making the rubble around him practically disintegrate before he lunged forward and slammed his sword into hers, shooting them both towards the opposite end of the throne room. Diana and the Demon Lord returned to their clashing of steels as Damien only fumed at the bout. My instinct screamed at me to pull him back and calm him down, but was I in a place to stop him? Let me save really quick, in case there's another thing if I were to say yes when he's still in his demon form. Okay, let him attack. Damien had every right to be angry. He had every right to join the fight. Who was I to stop him? The faster we ended the Demon Lord, the better. I stepped back, letting Damien charge up his energy and skid forward, bringing his sword up to slice up the Demon Lord while he was distracted.
Out of my way!
As Damien got close over, the Demon Lord jutted his foot out, slamming into Damien's chest and sending him flying back towards the room entrance. He landed hard against the wall and fell to the ground, stunned momentarily from the impact. Damien! I rushed over to Damien, panicked at the event and deciding to kneel at Damien's side. He gritted his teeth and coughed, trying to catch his breath as he slowly began to stand. The Demon Lord, however, was not so patient. The Demon Lord let out a pulse of red energy slam into Diana's body, forcing her back before charging head one towards me and Damien, sword positioned at his side to impale his son into the wall. Damien managed to stand, still curled over in lack of air to his lungs, but glared hard as the Demon Lord quickly diminished the distance between himself and us. I had no energy to defend him. I felt myself naturally step in front of Damien, wanting so much to protect him. However, I couldn't help to see my life flash for a moment before my eyes. Was this the end?
No!
With her final shout, Diana rushed between us and became the victim of the Demon Lord's blade. As it ran through her body and out of her back, the purple taint and marked her skin, almost shattered around the wound, like broken armor. Oh, there goes Diana. Diana! Diana looked back over her shoulder and glared hard at Damien, shuddering as the blade rested in her belly.
You should have waited your turn.
Oh. With a disappointed and disgusted glare, the demon lord lifted his sword up with Diana on it, making her gasp and grip onto the sword in pain, her feet no longer able to touch the floor. Oh my god.
Pathetic way to die!
The demon lord grabbed one of Diana's horns and holding her still before pulling his blade out of her body and a glory splatter of blood following after. Without letting her go, the demon lord brought the sword up and ran the blade across Diana's throat. I was frozen in fear and shock as I watched her body spasm in his hand before he releasing her and letting Diana crumple to the floor like a doll. Tears formed my eyes as I stepped back from the demon lord, shivering in horror. The demon lord finally looked at Damien, tongue darting out to lick his blade as his smirk grew.
Your turn, mistake.
Damien snarled as he finally settled himself, ready to take on his father, not only for the world and for his mother, but for Diana as well. Damien rushed forward and swung at his father, feeling his swing with his rage and need to end the battle. With ease, the demon lord parried his son and leaned in to add insult to the attempt.
You never learn, do you? You're just like your mother. Shut up!
Another swing, another parry, another insult.
The only ones who gave a damn about you were your idiot brothers. If it were up to me, you'd be a rotting corpse.
Damien refused to give in. With his energy, Damien formed multiple copies of himself around the room, all armed and dangerous. As the copy ran up to the demon lord to strike at him from behind, the demon lord only smirked and let loose a red bolt of energy around his body. The energy forced me back to slide across and tumble onto the floor. As I looked up to see what else had happened, I stared in shock as Damien's doppelgangers no longer graced the room with their presence. Even worse so, Damien became locked in a tight grip around his neck, lifted high in the air as he struggled to get his legs onto the demon lord's body somehow.
Your existence took my succubus away from me. Well, I'm gonna take something from you in return.
Like a ragdoll, Damien arced through the air and was tossed to the opposite side of the room with ease. I watched in horror as Damien's body crashed into the pillar near the dais and broke through into a slam into the far wall. Damien! I mean, obviously that's all I can really say right now. I scrambled up to get up and rushed to him, but as I finally got back on my feet, the demon lord stepped in my path, smirking down at me and causing me to freeze in my spot. Something took hold of me, forcing me to remain still as I stared up at the demon lord in complete fear. I was frozen as a statue as he slowly approached me and dug his fingers into my hair. Oh god. With a hard tug, he lifted my body up into the air. At the excruciating pain, my body broke free of the hold that was on me and I began to flail and struggle to get out of his grip. Let me go! I tried to use my energy to fight, but found none to use. I tried to kick him and force him to release me, but my attempts were fruitless. I was stuck in the demon lord's grip as he turned and held me out towards where Damien had fallen. I stared wide-eyed as Damien slowly stood from his place and rushed forward to try and re-engage battle with the demon lord, only to take in the sight of me.
No!
I reached out to Damien, hoping he would come and save me with his abilities. As Damien's energy flared and he began to rush at me, I let out a painful gasp as the searing pain ripped through my stomach. Oh god. Damien stopped and I looked down, both of us stricken with horror as the demon lord's blade protruded out of my stomach, painted with fresh, dripping blood. My blood.
Watch as she dies, because you exist.
Without mercy, the demon lord ripped the sword through my body and slammed it back in through another section of my stomach, white flaring pain shooting through me. Oh my god. And me going, yeah, because I can't really yell, because, yeah.
No!
Damien took a step to rush forward, but found himself frozen in place from the sheer shock at what the demon lord had done and from the demon lord's fear and enthrallment that he used on me. The world began to grow fuzzy, and I felt myself slowly bleed out. As if 2 death blows weren't enough, the demon lord quickly slipped the sword from my body and rammed it through my back and diaphragm, oh my god, twisting it to ensure I would scream regardless. I couldn't hear myself let out a scream as my entire body slowly began to become numb, and the world around me darkened. I couldn't even say goodbye. Why? And A. Beam until the day I die. E. Do I have my pen around here? I think I do. I mean, I should. That concludes Damien's bad end. I think there's another goodish end if he's still a demon. I'm not sure yet. I gotta look at the achievements and stuff. But, that's like 15 minutes. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video, and hopefully we will go be the good part of Damien, or maybe we're done with Damien, not sure yet. I'll figure out when I get back to this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!